Hello everybody, we're here today at my home in Mid Wales. My name is Dr Sarah Myhill. I qualified as a medical doctor in 1981. I worked for 20 years in NHS general practice. In the last 20 years I've been working as a naturopathic physician because I now understand the importance of diet and food, and central to that is gardening. We're going to learn today how gardening is so good for our mental and our physical health. So I can show you how vital good food is for our gut microbiome, for our physical prowess and our energy, for heart health, for liver health, and gardening is so good for our brains. It's so good for the chemistry of the brain, it's so good for our senses, it's so good for our balance, for our coordination, and it's so good for our emotions. Physically, we're out in the sunshine, we're stretching, we're bending all the time, so we're exercising the whole of our body. It benefits us in all so many ways. You've just got to go out there and do it. So now we are walking down to the garden to see why gardening and looking after plants is so good for our health, and not just good for us, it's also good for the environment. And organic gardening, as we are doing it, protects the bees, the insects, which all help with pest control. So it's part of a larger ecological system. We are working with nature. So now let's go into the garden and see why we're doing it the way that we are. So, gardening is so good for our microbiome. And what is our microbiome? It is the forgotten organ of the body. These are the microbes that occupy our large bowel, that ferment fibre from a whole range of fruit and vegetables for all sorts of beneficial effects, like vitamin K, many of the B vitamins, but most importantly, the microbiome programs our immune system. Now, we don't know much about the microbiome, but what we do know is that the more diverse it is, the healthier we are. How do we get a diverse microbiome? By eating as huge a diversity of food as we possibly can, and to eat seasonally. So here we are, we've got cabbages, we've got beetroot, Welsh onions, behind me we've got strawberries which are coming, globe artichokes, raspberries in the background. So the more different number of foods that you can eat in a day, the healthier you will be. Another such an important reason to garden is to garden organically, because we now know that glyphosate, which is the most widely used herbicide in the world, is enormously damaging to the gut flora. Some estimates suggest that it kills up to 54% of our microbiome. And since all disease processes start with the gut, and since the treatment of all disease processes starts with diet, you can't do anything better than grow as much of your own food as you possibly can. Now, you may not be as fortunate as I am to have a garden like this, but believe you me, it's taken me 40 years to get here. And every garden is different. It's like a patient. Every patient is unique, and that is the case with every garden. But we can all start with something, whether that's window boxes, the edge of the garden, use up a little bit of lawn, or whatever. There are many ways we can achieve this, but the more you can do, the better. And if I had a small patch, I would start with just growing lots of herbs, because they're very easy to grow. They add hugely to the diversity of our diet, and they're absolutely delicious in salads. And I've got various herbs, tucked around the garden that we can look at. My generation were brought up on a book called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and she illustrated how damaging pesticides are to our health. They're carcinogens, they're mutagens, and they accelerate the aging process. This became a part of my medicine, because when I moved to the Welsh borders, I was seeing many farmers who'd been poisoned by organophosphate sheep dips. And organophosphates are used widely for growing all crops, and don't forget, glyphosate is an organophosphate. Organophosphates inhibit energy generation, and if you inhibit energy production, you start off with the symptom of fatigue, but then that progresses to organ failures, and chemicals are also known carcinogens. So it has never been more important to eat organic. It's never been more important to know where your food is coming from. It's never been more important to source your food locally, because we have so much costs of transporting food all around the world. And all those are fabulous reasons to start in your own garden at a low level and build up to whatever you possibly can for your own personal great health. Another vital reason to grow your own vegetables and eat your own food that you've grown is because of minerals. Modern foods are mineral deficient. Let's just look at magnesium. Magnesium is essential for cardiac health, it's essential to prevent osteoporosis. It's been dubbed nature's tranquilizers. Everywhere you look in this garden, everything is green, and it's green because of chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is a rich source of magnesium. Now, we're magnesium deficient for many reasons. First, we are not recycling human waste, human compost, back into the soil. So there's a one-way cycle of minerals from the soil into plants, into animals, and it's discarded. So we are not recycling properly. Many pesticides, in particular glyphosate, act as chelating agents. They kill plants by binding up minerals in the soil so the plants cannot access them. And so the weeds will die, but of course it's not good for the plants you're growing either. A major problem with pesticides is that they destroy the natural microbes in the soil that we call compost. And our soils have never been so depleted in the history of agriculture. Garden yourself and you can encourage the compost. What is compost? What is that stuff that we call humus? It's full of fungi with little tubules, and the fungi, the humus, the compost, it takes minerals from the soil, puts them into a bioavailable form for the plants to absorb. So by growing your own food, you can grow plants which are rich in minerals, and guess what? That gives it its flavour. So the food that you grow at home will be the best tasting food that you've ever eaten because it's full of minerals, because it's full of flavour. So very good reason to grow your own. Get the minerals into your body, and the best way to do it is food grade minerals from plants that you've grown in your own garden. In fact, I think of minerals as the alphabet of wellness. So if you think the human body is comprised of a language, and a language is made up of paragraphs, sentences, words, and letters of the alphabet. And vitamins and minerals are our letters of the alphabet. And if you haven't got all those vitamins and minerals there, and that's what you are going to get from gardening your own, then you cannot make up a proper language. You cannot be a whole person. So minerals are essential for our mental health, for our physical health, and for our well-being. Obviously, I'm very fortunate here because I have a plentiful supply of compost, but we can make compost ourselves from food wastes. We can buy compost from external sources, and that is a vital part of restoring the fertility of the soil, because the soil is right, the plants will absorb. If the plants will absorb, they will be rich in minerals, and most importantly, they will taste fantastic. Mental health conditions are one of the worst treated conditions in Western medicine. And the reason for that is because we concentrate on a drug-oriented approach. And that does not cure patients, it simply controls their symptoms. And so many patients with severe mental health issues are put in a chemical straitjacket and they are turned into zombies. We have to ask the question why they have mental health problems and work from first principles. And one of the ways we know it's well established that these patients can be helped is by getting them out into nature, getting into the garden, getting into nature, getting your hands into the soil, where suddenly people find that there's a value, there's a worth in their life, there has a project that is their responsibility, that's peculiar to them, and only they can make it work or otherwise, has a massively empowering effect on people's health. So gardening for mental health, to de-stress, as a therapy, to help people come off toxic drugs, is a fantastically useful tool. One of the major physical benefits of gardening is you are employing every muscle of your body to lift, push, move, hoe, harrow and crop. Gardening is incredibly good for our physical health because the business of gardening exercises every muscle in the body, whether you are moving wheelbarrows, creating compost, hoeing, planting, weeding. You are constantly wielding tools, bending, stretching, and using the body. And this is good for anybody of any age, any time of the year. There are always jobs to be done. And I know at the end of my gardening session, not only will I be physically fitter, I will be mentally relaxed, I will be hugely satisfied by the work that's been done and the produce that's coming into the house. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today as much as I have. I hope that we have given you the why it is so important, why it is so good for our health. Please like, please subscribe if you enjoy what we are presenting, because we are doing more work. And next episode we'll look at the how we go about putting in place the interventions you need to improve your health from gardening. If you have any ideas that you want to feed back with, please put them in the comments box. We're always open to ideas. All gardens are individual, and we will try and pick up on those and respond to those in future episodes. So look forward to seeing you again.